Welcome to Do Beautiful Things. I'm your host, Jenny Lawson, President and CEO of Keep America Beautiful. In this podcast, we'll discuss ending litter, the truth behind recycling, and making communities beautiful for people and for a more sustainable future. We'll be talking to industry experts, community leaders, and everyday people who want to do the right thing, including from time to time, my mother. Thank you for joining us. I hope you learned something, and I know I will. Hi, this is Jenny Lawson at Keep America Beautiful. Welcome back to Season 2 of Do Beautiful Things. I'm happy to open this new season with today's conversation. Lauren Riley is the Chief Sustainability Officer at United Airlines. And we've asked Lauren here today because on September 23rd, Keep America Beautiful will host the Power of Beauty celebration event in New York City as a kickoff to Climate Week. We'll be honoring corporate leaders and innovators in recycling, sustainability, and litter prevention and corporate volunteering. And one of those award winners is United Airlines. So we'll talk a little bit about how they came to the award from Keep America Beautiful and the long history of how they're engaging Americans in the move toward more sustainable air travel. So Lauren, happy to have you here today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, it's great to be here, Jenny, and thank you for giving an opportunity to talk about progressing the steps we need to take towards sustainable aviation.
So maybe just start at the beginning. You and I were chatting before. How does one get to the role as Chief Sustainability Officer at United?
Well, that's a great question. What I will start by saying is that there is no one single path. This is one of those careers that you really have to have the vision and the passion, and really, truly, any functional or technical skill can take you in the direction of sustainability. And the reason why that's happening is because, I describe my role as the Chief Sustainability Officer almost in two different ways. First and foremost is I'm a change management practitioner. I am here to ask our business to think differently about what success looks like, which brings me to my second point, that's happening. So you think about the role of sustainability today, it's really about corporate strategy. It's about a future in which you want to compete and thrive, but a future in which we are actually bringing externalities in. And that's really fundamentally the role of CSO. And so looking across the board to figure out how do you change business, introduce new key indicators of success, and then also engage the public, which I look forward to talking about today.
I think that idea of engaging the consumer in this conversation is a really important one. How has that happened in the past? I think one of the things is this is an industry that can be very, very complex to the average listener, right? Greenhouse gas emissions, what do they mean? Where do they come from? What do they mean in the context of the airline industry? Maybe if you want to just touch a little bit on what are the components of sustainability for United?
Well, it's pretty straightforward for us. So today, aviation is responsible for about 3% of global greenhouse gas emissions, which really doesn't sound like a lot. But what I'll warn you is that that number is likely to go up because we are known as a hard-to-abate industry, which means we don't have the solutions commercially available today to start decarbonizing right now, which is really sort of fundamentally what United is trying to affect. We are really trying to introduce a new marketplace for low carbon alternatives to flight. And that's somewhat about the airplanes we fly. It's somewhat about the fuel that powers those planes. And it's somewhat about some of these alternatives, like you hear about electric. There's certainly electrification of aviation that's happening as well. But you're absolutely right, Jenny. This is a very complicated topic. I mean, aviation alone is complicated, but then you say, hey, I want to talk to you about the fuel. Nobody wants to talk about fuel when they're going on vacation or a business trip. Hey, I want to talk to you about greenhouse gas emissions. What does that even mean? And why do I care? I can't see it, touch it, feel it, smell it. So how do you make that relatable in a way that demonstrates to travelers that they should be proud when they travel? They should enjoy that privilege and know that we're working really hard behind the scenes to give them a more sustainable aviation experience. It's going to take a little bit of time, though.
Well, it may be the perfect segue to talk a little bit about your partner in all of this, the Chief Trash Officer at United. United is going to win the Sustainability Communications and Innovation Award from us because of this particular individual. Keep America Beautiful is just known for its iconic advertising. We have, Give a Hoot, Don't Pollute, and Woody the Woodpecker, and all of these iconic images that are the history of our brand. And you all maybe have the pinnacle of iconic partners in your chief trash officer. Why don't you introduce us to him and tell us a little bit about how this individual came to join United?
Yeah, it's been a great collaboration with Sesame Workshop. They have been really wonderful to really deconstruct this complexity that we were just talking about and bring it to the average traveler in a way that's digestible. So Oscar the Grouch, yes, my favorite colleague. I will have to say he is now retired, but he's still dear to my heart, our chief trash officer. And really, we brought him to the table in our communication campaign to really introduce just a very plain language, relatable, but then also optimistic and humorous, and something that's not so heavy. I think one of the challenges we have when it comes to climate change is, number one, it's so far into the future. But number two, it's often an overwhelming experience when you think about the impacts of climate change, and then you think about how do we address that. Oscar the Grouch really is this, grouchy little creature that makes you want to giggle, and you can't even understand what he's saying half the time, but he's really advocating for the right thing. And he really became almost an ambassador for sustainable aviation fuels. And sustainable aviation fuels are really the alternative to conventional fossil fuel-derived jet fuel. We need to get rid of that because that's where all the emissions are coming from. So sustainable aviation fuel, as you can tell from the name of it, it's derived from either renewable or waste feedstock. And waste can be anything, as Oscar the Grouch has educated us on. It can be really, truly almost anything. And so there's a number of different waste byproducts, whether it's agricultural, forestry waste, trash out of your trash can, like Oscar likes to talk about, and beyond, that we can actually pull together and convert into sustainable aviation fuels. And we want people to understand that that really is the lever to decarbonize aviation. It really is the number one solution that's going to take us on a path that aligns with the goals of the Paris Accord. But there is no market right now. We found ourselves in this position where we're trying to figure out, how do you describe to travelers in a way that's light, approachable, almost whimsical in some ways, where they're curious to say, what is this sustainable aviation fuel? Oh, that's interesting. And I'm optimistic that the market's going to build, because it will. And I trust that United has it under control, and they're doing what they can to create success in this space. And I it's been awesome. I mean, folks love it. They're laughing. We are educating not just the average traveler, but their children too. And that really is very meaningful, because it's this next generation, as we all know, that's going to carry the brunt of a lot of the change that needs to happen as it relates to impact on climate.
I have experienced Oscar on a couple of United flights, and you do. It's just charming, and you pay attention. Much like we did when we were children, we still pay attention to what Oscar says to us in whatever that context is. And I think as we think about the role of communications in moving the dialogue forward around more sustainable living, and all of us travel, and more sustainable travel, and what all of those things look like, right? What can the consumer do? How can the consumer relate to some of the more technical aspects of the things we do? Even as much as recycling more effectively, and behavior change that we need to be advocating for, both at the business level, but certainly also at the consumer level. Is there a role for the consumer in this dialogue? What could the consumer do to push for more sustainable airline fuels? Is there a role for the consumer?
Well, you're absolutely right, Jenny. 98% of our impact of our greenhouse gas inventory is from the combustion of jet fuel. So that is our big energy climate elephant in the room that we need to solve for here. It's really replacing that fuel. But yes, the consumer should engage. They need to engage. They need to understand what is the appropriate and responsible transition for aviation. We have taken steps really to enable more transparency around this. Certainly, Oscar the Grouch, as our ambassador, was part of that. We've also published emissions on a per-flight basis in the booking path. So now when you go to book your flight on united.com or on the app, can see which ones are higher. Through purchasing your ticket, you can help us invest in sustainable aviation fuels. There's a capacity for now our travelers to contribute anywhere from just a single dollar all the way up to $7, which is, on a per ticket basis, not that large, but all of those monies goes towards investments and purchase of sustainable aviation fuels. And I have to say, the average consumer, I've had this for a little over a year now, has really been engaged because now they understand what sustainable aviation fuels are and why they're important to aviation. In addition to that, silly things that you want to do anyway, fly direct to the best of your capacity. That makes a difference. Our planes, we want them full because the more travelers there are on board, the less carbon footprint per traveler. That's really important to us. We're investing in new aircraft. Every new aircraft that we introduce into our fleet, 20% less emissions on a life cycle basis. Really, really, really important when you think about just same experience, better product for the traveler, fewer emissions. Really, my ask of the average traveler is to engage a little bit, because for the hard to abate industries like aviation, there is an ask of patience, which is very difficult for someone like me to put forward. But if you ask me to make changes right now, you're going to ask me to sort of introduce actions that I don't believe are in the best interest of decarbonizing aviation for the duration. And that's really what we want, is a permanent solve here. We don't want a Band-Aid. We don't want something that we don't think is actually going to reduce emissions. We want permanent solve. And that means helping us work to build a marketplace for these sustainable aviation fuels. I will also encourage our travelers, to the extent that they want, get involved in advocating for policies that support sustainable aviation fuels. Just last month, United was the first airline to bring SAF to O'Hare, Chicago, our hometown. And the reason that we're able to do that is, one, there's the federal credits under the Inflation Reduction Act, which is tremendous. But then two, the state of Illinois has its own tax credit. And so combined, it's able to help us pull down the cost of this more expensive sustainable alternative. We need help driving markets that way. And so the more that you reach out to your policy leaders and say, we should invest in infrastructure so that when I fly, it's lower carbon, that makes such a difference, especially right now. And so that's a true impact that can really help shape where sustainable aviation fuel shows up in the United States.
That's really interesting. And I think the idea that the consumer even has a role to play in this is really interesting and I think really helpful for people to understand. And my guess is also to give feedback to you, United, when you see things going right? Like when you I have noticed on my United flights that there is clear separation of recycling and trash. Thank you, right? Like the clear separation signals that you all care and are tackling this very simple task, right? Of doing the separation and helping us be like, oh, I can separate my bottle out and messaging like we do that if you have a bottle, take it with you till you find a recycling bin for it off the airline, right? That don't just throw it in the trash. There is a pathway to recycling that's helpful. I think all of these messages help all of us to change the sort of reflexive behavior of the last 20 or 30 years and to be more thoughtful consumers. And I think we do see consumers of all ages, especially younger generations, really leaning into demanding this of business as well,
which is extraordinary. And I'm really proud of this next generation and what I expect them to accomplish. But it's really incumbent upon us right now to set that foundation for change. As I started in the beginning of this conversation, whether it's with the average consumer or corporate America or nonprofits like yourself or anyone that's leaning into the dialogue around sustainability, we are simply change agents in this journey towards a lower carbon future. And in a cleaner economy at large, a cleaner energy economy. And I take that responsibility very seriously, especially as an enterprise. We have the ability to influence markets with who we are and what we say. And right now, it's just a really interesting time to see us moving toward more sustainable businesses in general. And I'm really proud of the leadership role that United has taken and the partnerships we've had with Oscar the Grouch and others.
Lauren, thank you. And thanks so much for joining us today. We're really grateful, and I look forward to seeing you soon as we celebrate the power of beauty in New York City.
My pleasure.
Again, thanks to Lauren Riley for a great conversation and a visionary approach to speaking authentically to consumers about the challenging issues of sustainability, and it's a lot to understand. And United's approach in the presence of Oscar the Grouch and helping us all connect the dots, I think is really powerful. And the work that they're doing is very interesting. So we're grateful to Lauren, and thank you again for the conversation. Before we wrap up, we're thrilled to invite you to the Power of Beauty celebration on the 23rd. It's an official Climate Week event happening at Rockefeller Center in New York City. It's a celebration and a chance to honor and recognize corporate leaders and innovators who are moving the needle on recycling, sustainability, litter prevention, and corporate volunteering in ways that are both inspiring and exemplary for how others might think about getting involved. This is a signature event of the greatest American cleanup here at Keep America Beautiful. It's a nationwide movement to clean, green, and beautify our communities, your community, every community in America, as a part of our 250th birthday celebration, which will be coming up on July 4th, 2026. If you want to learn more about how your community and your friends and you can get involved in the greatest American cleanup, or find out how you can join us for the Power of Beauty celebration, be sure to visit kab.org. You'll find everything you need there. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, take care, stay informed, and let's keep doing beautiful things together. See you on the next episode.